Chapter 14. Ariana POV. Okay, so that blue bird is actually a message you created. I confirmed as he nodded.
Yes, it was sent to Vicus, my right hand. Once it reaches him, the bird would change into a letter.
He said as I nodded. That is so cool, I said as he laughed.
Is it now?
He asked as I nodded. And what else do you do? I asked, excited. Magic is so cool. During our 3-hour ride, we decided to play 20 questions. But along the midway, it was only me asking questions because I was so damn impressed with Wizard World.
Well, let's see. Oh, our Supreme Lord is Vimir. The day a wizard child turns 8, he is sent to the shelter of Vimir, where the light will be dawned on him. It's like a blessing they get after they acquire their power.
He said, as I frowned. Are you all born with powers? I asked, as he nodded his head.
Yes, we are born with powers, but they remain dormant till you reach the age of 8. The 8th birthday is considered to be the wizard's biggest day.
He said, as I frowned even more. But Noah is just turning 5, I said, as I felt myself getting worried.
Do not worry, my queen. Noah is an early bloomer, like me. I got my powers at the age of 6. Both Noah and I hold the mark of Vimir. It means we are more powerful than others around.
He said, pointing at the mark below his ears. The mark which looks just like my son's.
But that also means something bad is going to happen in our era. For me, it is the attack of the Dark King. They attacked us, unexpectedly causing panic and chaos among the terrain. I don't know what it is related to our son, but I know he will rise up to become a strong and powerful ruler.
He said, as he kissed the top of Noah's head. He made a noise in his sleep and murmured about being hungry before falling asleep.
Only an hour more, buddy. I have also told him to arrange food for you both.
Alistair said.
Arya, how was life without me?
He suddenly asked, making my eyes widen. I looked at him, well, the back side of his head, thinking, without you? I don't know. I don't remember my life with you, so I don't know a life without you. But I love my life after Noah was born. It was weird and shocking, to be honest. Waking up one morning in a house you never know, seeing that an orphan who had nothing woke up having a house and a huge bank balance. After a week, I got really sick. I started to feel nauseous and fatigue. One day, I fainted at work, and when the doctor told me I was pregnant, I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who the father was. I didn't know how to take care of a child. I had a hard time getting through the pregnancy. But the moment I saw his face, I knew everything I went through was worth it. After his birth, I had an aim in my life, to give him a beautiful life, to provide him anything and everything he desires. I guess he was the luck I hadn't had. After he came to my life, I started to look up. I got the job as a designer at one of the top fashion industry. A year later, I not only got promoted, but started the job as a model in the company. I was so happy. I could give him everything he wants. Well, everything except a father, I whispered at the end as he sighed.
I'm sorry I wasn't there with you. You had to take care of him alone. I couldn't be a father to the first 5 years of his life.
He said, sadness lacing his voice. It's okay. Noah was the only reason I accepted to come with you. He needs his father. I want him to live a life with his father, to do all the father-son things. I want him to have everything that I failed to have. A family to rely on, I said. I felt a hand touch mine, and I looked down to see one of his hand hold onto mine.
You will have one,
he said, giving it a squeeze of assurance.
And what about we have a daughter for a mother-daughter bond?
He smirked, as I grasped, removing my hand from his grip and smacking his shoulder.
Hey, I just don't want you to be jealous and lonely because of our father-son bonding time,
he said, laughing as I smacked him again. Idiot. I mumbled along with some other cursing words as I tried to hide my blush.
We're almost there. Are you ready?
he suddenly said as I looked over his shoulders. I gulped as I saw a village covered with a huge shield. It was white, but it glowed and shined beautifully. As we went closer, I grasped as my eyes widened. The whole land was raised up a little in the air, and we could see a huge crater of the uplifted land in the ground. It was not high up in the sky, but it was not attached to the ground as well. The land floated a few meters above the ground.
Noah, wake up. We have reached home.
He woke up our son.
Hold on to me, baby boy.
He said, as Noah nodded and hugged his father.
You too, my love. Hold on.
He said, as I nodded and held on to him. He immediately did some hand gestures and shouted something in some alien language. Immediately, the horse started to rise from the ground, and I screamed, closing my eyes. My hold on him tightened as I buried my face on his back.
Arya, you can open your eyes now.
Alistair voiced after a few seconds. I opened my eyes, and the first thing I did was look whether we were floating or not. I sighed in relief when I saw all 8 legs of the horse on the ground. I then looked around to see us now inside the bubble.
Welcome to Obsidian Terrain.
Alistair announced. Chapter 15. Ariana POV.
Welcome to Obsidian Terrain.
Alistair said as I looked around in wow. It's beautiful, I said as I looked around. The village was filled with brick-made houses and shops on the sidewalk. Kids were running around and playing in the street. The people here look like cosplayers. Some women and men wore frocks and middle-aged type dresses, but there were also some who had freaky hats and coats. All of them screamed magic, and if it weren't for my confirmation that this is all real wizards, I would have definitely thought I entered a cosplay. Each person looked unique in their attire and fashion. But I did notice everyone in the street was looking at us confused, but nevertheless, they were bowing as we passed by.
Relax. They're just confused seeing you both with me.
He said as I looked at him. Okay, I said. I blush and release the tight hold I unconsciously had on him. Papa, what's that? Noah suddenly asked, pointing to his left. I turned to look at what it was, and my eyes widened. It was a family. At least, I think it is. The man and the small girl had ears and tails of a wolf, while the women and the small boy has deer antlers.
They are called shifters. They are half human, half animal. The village is filled with various creatures.
Alistair said, as I nodded. That is so cool! Can I talk and be friends with them? Noah asked, excited.
Of course you can. Tomorrow, when we go to take admission on your new school, you can make as many friends as you want.
His father said, as his son grinned. When the small boy looked our way, Noah immediately waved his hand. The boy was shocked at first, but smiled a little before hiding behind his mother.
Do you guys want to walk? You can check the shops and all.
He said as I nodded immediately. Hell yes. I can't feel my bottom with all the sitting, I said as he laughed and nodded.
All right then.
He said as he waved his hand. He magically lifted both Noah and me in the air before moving us to the ground. Then he jumped off Stallion and patted its back. I should get used to the flying, I said, sighing and rubbing my forehead.
Come on.
He said as he took Noah's hand into his. He then grabbed the horse's reins and began walking. I walked behind him, looking around at all the things happening. Some were walking like normal, but there were also some floating in the air. Some kids were in the air picking apples from a tree. Well, at least I think they are apples. The shopkeepers were busy shouting and selling different things. Some were normal, like food, clothes, and jewelry, but some are, well, different. There were shops of fortune-telling, potions, weird and creepy things. Hell, I even saw a woman selling eyeballs. Such a pretty lady. Would you like to try this dress? It's embroidered with the silk weave of the patoga tree. A young woman about my age said as she put forth a beautiful pale green dress with full sleeves. But the one that attracts me about the dress was the designs. Being a fashion designer, I should say these designs of swirls exhibit elegance and beauty, making such a simple dress into a stunning one.
Would you like to try it?
Alistair whispered behind my ear, making me jump. Alistair, you scared me. I whisper-shouted, putting my hand on my fast-pacing heart. My king! Pleasure to have you in front of me, the woman quickly said as she bowed down.
Hello to you too. My queen seems to like the dress you are holding.
He said as the woman's eyes widened. The queen? Your Majesty, she said, bowing down at me. Oh, please don't do that, I said, shocked. It would be an honor if you come inside and check more. Please, come in. Everything here is handmade by me and my son, she said, excited. I looked at Alistair as he smiled and nodded.
Go on. We will wait here,
he said as I nodded and turned to the smiling lady. I would love to see more, I said as I followed the women inside. An hour of showing me her masterpieces, which, by the way, was the best designs I have ever seen. I brought the same dress I had laid my eyes on. I didn't have the money, which was in their currency, but she told Alistair has already sent the money, which I discover is called a drachma here, by magic. She also made me wear the dress, and in addition to that, she gave me matching earrings and necklace along with the headdress with a beautiful pale green black veil. Wow. Wow, I said as I swirled and looked in the mirror. This dress and the extra jewelry is beautiful and amazing. You have talent, Layla, I said as she blushed and nodded. Thank you, she said, bowing her head.
Wow, you look amazing,
Alistair said as I got out. I blushed as he walked to me with a smile.
Thank you, ma'am, for your hospitality,
he said, bowing to Layla.
Shall we go?
He asked me as I nodded. Mommy, Papa brought me these cool gloves, Noah said, running to me. He showed me his hands now covered in black gloves with beautiful gold border and designs. He said it's for my school, he said as I smiled at his excited face. It's very pretty. Did you thank him for it? I asked as he nodded. I did, and you look pretty too, Mommy, he said, kissing my cheek. Thank you, baby, I said, kissing back.
I didn't get the kiss for my compliment.
Alistair suddenly complained as I raised my eyebrow at him.
I was just kidding,
he said, raising his hands in surrender. But I didn't miss the look of longing for a kiss. I wanted to, but it's too early. I need to take things slow with him.
Shall we go? Everyone is waiting in the palace,
Alistair said, as I nodded and smiled. Come on, Noah said, as he grabbed both our hands. He smiled at us, and my heart warmed at how happy he is to have both his father and mother. I hope I don't regret this.